Monica Bellucci is one of those rare souls who doesn't just enter a room, she alters its temperature. She changes the rhythm of the air. She changes the way people look at themselves, at beauty, at aging, at elegance, at desire, at memory. And if you ever saw her on screen, in an interview, on a red carpet, or even in a single photograph, you probably felt it too. That strange pull, that fascination that isn't loud or aggressive, but quiet, deep, and unforgettable. There's something about Monica that stays with you long after the moment has passed. The scene has ended, the lights have gone down. She doesn't fade. She lingers, like a memory you can't explain. And this is the story of that memory, the moment she hopes you never forget. She was not born into fame, nor into privilege, nor into any sort of destiny that promised the world would someday whisper her name. She grew up in the small town of Città di Castello in Italy, surrounded not by glamour, but by the ordinary rhythm of life, family, routine, simplicity. There was nothing in her childhood that predicted that this young girl would become one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. And yet even then, something glowed quietly beneath the surface. Friends would later say she seemed like someone who came from another time, someone who belonged in a painting rather than a classroom. But Monica herself didn't see it. She didn't walk around with the confidence of a future icon. She had insecurities, doubts, fears just like everyone else. What separated her was not beauty. It was patience, authenticity, a gentle refusal to rush her life's timing. In a world obsessed with speed, she moved with the grace of someone who trusted her path even before she knew where it was taking her. Modeling came first, but even then she was different. She was not the typical 90s model, sunny, sharp, athletic. Monica had a softness, a stillness, a slow-burning magnetism that couldn't be replicated. She did not try to fit in because she knew she wasn't meant to. And when photographer after photographer said she had a face people couldn't stop looking at, she didn't let that praise define her. She didn't let it trap her. She saw beauty as a language, not an identity. When she entered cinema, something happened. Something powerful, something immediate. Directors didn't just see her as a beautiful woman, they saw presence, depth, a quiet emotion in her eyes that made audiences lean closer. She had the rare ability to say 10 things without opening her mouth. She became the kind of actress who didn't need to perform loudly to be understood. She could simply exist in a frame, and you understood everything the character felt: pain, desire, loneliness, longing, strength, surrender. It was all there, unforced and unfiltered. Her breakout roles in films like Malena and L'Appartement revealed this extraordinary quality to the world. In Malena, she played a woman judged not for who she was, but for what others projected onto her, something Monica understood all too well. Overnight, people talked about her beauty, but what they truly remembered was her vulnerability, her sadness, the quiet dignity she carried even as her character was misunderstood, stripped down, humiliated by a world unable to see her humanity beneath her appearance. Monica once said she accepted the role because, for the first time, someone wasn't asking her to be beautiful, they were asking her to be real. And maybe that's the moment she hopes you never forget, not the glamorous red carpet photos, not the magazine covers, not the movie posters, but that she is a human being who has lived, loved, risked, fallen, and risen again. The world often forgets that about icons, especially icons of beauty. People imagine they've had an easier life, that doors open for them without effort, that their path is smooth because their face is symmetrical. Monica disproves that myth. She fought for her place in the industry. She had her heart broken. She dealt with judgment, stereotypes, and double standards. She aged under the spotlight, a place that rarely shows mercy to women, but she never hid. She never apologized for getting older. She never tried to look younger than she was. While other actresses feared turning 40, Monica embraced it. While others chased youth, she embraced maturity. She became one of the first global stars to challenge Hollywood's obsession with age. By simply refusing to participate in the panic, she lived her life at her own rhythm, refusing the idea that a woman's value declines over time. If anything, she believed the opposite, that a woman becomes more interesting, more complex, more magnetic as she grows into herself, and that belief changed people. It changed the way audiences saw beauty. It changed how aging women saw themselves. She gave them permission to breathe, permission to grow, permission to be soft without being ignored and strong without raising their voice. Monica Bellucci became a symbol not of perfection, but of evolution. She never plays the victim. She never plays the conqueror either. She plays truth, humanity, a woman who feels everything deeply, but shows only what she chooses. A woman who knows her worth but doesn't need to announce it. A woman who doesn't chase attention because attention naturally finds her. And the world remembers her not because she demands it, but because she understands something most people overlook. Beauty is temporary, but aura is eternal. Her personal life has had its share of light and darkness, love found, love lost, motherhood, heartbreak, reinvention. And she has always carried herself with dignity through it all. She doesn't expose her private life for headlines. She doesn't turn pain into publicity. She understands the value of mystery in an age where everyone is desperate to be seen. Monica is seen because she chooses when and how to appear. She moves through fame like a woman walking through a garden, slowly, intentionally, aware of the flowers, but never desperate to pick them. And that's why she stays unforgettable, because she isn't trying to be unforgettable. Her secret is that she lives at her own pace. She respects her own softness. She lets time do what it does without fighting nature. She accepts the chapters of life as they come, and she invites others to do the same. One of the most powerful things she ever said was, "Beauty becomes interesting when it reflects who you are." That sentence alone explains why she stands apart. She understands that true beauty is not skin deep, it's soul deep. It's in how you speak, how you listen, how you carry your pain, how you treat others, how you find your balance between strength and vulnerability. People remember her because she gives them something rare: permission to be human, permission to age, permission to feel, permission to walk through the world with grace rather than force. In a time when everyone is trying to be louder, sharper, faster, and younger, Monica Bellucci stands as a different kind of presence, one that moves slowly, breathes deeply, and refuses to rush the natural poetry of being alive. And this is the moment she hopes you never forget: not a scene, not a photograph, not a line from a movie, but the message behind her entire life. You don't have to chase what is meant for you. You don't have to fight to stay young. You don't have to fear time. You don't have to pretend to be someone else to be loved, admired, or remembered. You simply have to be real. And that is exactly what she has always been: real. Unapologetically, courageously, beautifully real. Monica's story is proof that the world remembers authenticity more than perfection. That elegance is not about clothes, makeup, or posture, but about self-respect. That beauty is not about youth, it's about presence. And presence is not something you can manufacture with trends or filters. It comes from the quiet fire inside someone who understands themselves. It comes from living truthfully, even when it would be easier to hide. It comes from carrying your scars with dignity and your dreams with patience. And that presence, her presence, is why she became unforgettable. Monica never fought to be noticed. She never chased attention. Yet attention always found her, not because she changed herself to fit the world, but because she remained exactly who she was while the world kept changing around her. She embodied a rare kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't need to speak loudly to be felt, the kind that doesn't need validation to shine. She reminded people that you can be powerful without being aggressive, soft without being weak, graceful without being cold, and emotional without losing your composure. In her silence, there was strength. In her stillness, There was magnetism in her gentleness. There was fire and in her aging. There was freedom and that freedom became her message. She showed that the world's obsession with perfection is nothing more than noise, temporary, exhausting, impossible to win. But authenticity lasts forever. Authenticity is what people remember years after the lights fade, long after the applause stops, long after the photographs are forgotten. Monica's authenticity made people feel safe, made them feel seen, made them feel less alone in their own insecurities. She wasn't pretending to be flawless. She simply embraced her imperfections as part of her story. And that is what truly made her beautiful. Her life reminds you that beauty deepens when you stop chasing it, that grace grows when you stop forcing it, that real confidence arrives the moment you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself. So if there is one moment she hopes you never forget, it is this moment right now, listening to her story, not as a fan, not as an admirer, but as another soul who might be searching for peace in a world that rarely offers it. She wants you to know the truth behind the icon, that she is not here because she was born stunning. She is here because she lived honestly, because she embraced herself, because she refused to rush, refused to panic, refused to shrink for anyone's approval. She is here because she chose to evolve rather than escape time. And she hopes that you, too, will give yourself permission to evolve. She wants you to understand that you don't need to fight the years, as if they are stealing something from you. They are giving you depth. They are giving you wisdom. They are giving you a story no one else can copy. Monica became who she is not because she held on to youth, but because she let go of the fear of losing it. She grew, she changed, she transformed, and she embraced each transformation with a softness that made people fall in love. Not just with her face, but with her spirit. And now that you know her story, now that you feel her message, don't let it fade. Don't let it disappear the moment the video ends. Carry it with you. Carry it the next time you look in the mirror and judge yourself too quickly. Carry it the next time someone makes you feel like you're not enough. Carry it the next time you worry that you're falling behind. Carry it when you're tired, when you're insecure, when you're doubting your worth. Because Monica's message is for you as well. You don't need to chase what is meant for you. You don't need to rush your own story. You don't need to be perfect to be unforgettable. If her voice, her presence, her quiet strength touched you in any way, then remember her not as a symbol of beauty, but as a symbol of courage, of softness, of growth, of self-acceptance. Remember her as the woman who reminded the world that true elegance is not something you see, it's something you feel. It's something that moves through the room like a whisper, something that settles in the heart long after the moment is gone. It's the vibration someone leaves in a room, the warmth they carry in their chest, the kindness in their words, the patience in their eyes, the steadiness in their breath. Elegance is the soul's language, not the body's decoration. It is the energy of someone who has made peace with themselves. She hopes you remember her as the woman who stood still while the world ran frantically. While others raced to chase relevance, she chose presence. While others worried about fading into the background, she trusted the quietness of her own glow. She became a reminder that a person does not need to shout to be heard, does not need to compete to be seen, does not need to be perfect to be cherished. In a world suffocating under the pressure to be flawless, she remained human, fragile at times, powerful at others, but always real. Remember her as the woman who breathed deeply while others suffocated chasing perfection, as the woman who didn't fear the passing of time, because she understood that the passing of time is what makes a human life meaningful. Every wrinkle, every scar, every chapter written into her skin was not a flaw. It was a story, a memory, a victory. She wants you to remember that aging is not the loss of beauty, but the blooming of identity. It is the moment when the true self, the unpolished, unfiltered, unapologetic self, finally becomes visible. Youth shows the face you were born with. Age shows the face you earned. She hopes you remember that grace is not something you wear, it's something you live. Grace is choosing peace over panic, wisdom over noise, authenticity over approval. Grace is knowing your worth without demanding others confirm it. And Monica embodied that grace not by trying to control the world around her, but by mastering the world within her. And she hopes that in remembering her, you remember yourself. She hopes you learn to slow down, to trust your timing, to walk with grace even through your storms, to accept your past, to welcome your future, and to recognize your own quiet power. She hopes you stop apologizing for the parts of yourself that make you unique. She hopes you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. She hopes you stop believing that you must be perfect to deserve love or admiration. She wants you to know that you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to grow in your own direction, even if the world does not understand you yet. She wants you to see that the strongest people are not the ones who force life to obey them, but the ones who learn how to flow with life without losing themselves. True elegance begins the moment you stop fighting who you are and start honoring who you're becoming. It begins when you recognize that your story is not behind you. It is unfolding with every breath you take. It begins when you understand that your worth is not measured by youth, beauty, or perfection, but by the depth of your heart and the truth of your character. It begins when you realize that real power is quiet. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need applause. It only needs honesty. And that is the moment Monica Bellucci hopes you never forget. Not the films, not the fame, not the red carpets, but the message that you too are allowed to be real, that you don't need to chase the world to be remembered. You only need to show up as yourself, consistently, courageously, compassionately. You only need to embrace the seasons of your life with the same softness and dignity. She embraced hers. She hopes you remember that beauty fades only when the soul stops blooming. She hopes you remember that time is not your enemy, fear is. She hopes you remember that you can be gentle and strong at the same time, vulnerable and powerful in the same breath. She hopes you remember that the most unforgettable people are not the most perfect, but the most authentic. And if her story touched you, if even for a second you felt the calmness of her presence, the wisdom of her silence, the courage of her heart, then carry that with you. Carry it into your relationships. Carry it into your dreams. Carry it into the way you treat yourself every morning. Let it remind you that you are allowed to age gracefully, to grow slowly, to live deeply. And if you want more powerful stories like this, stories that reveal the truth behind the legends, the humanity behind the icons, the soul behind the beauty, then make sure you subscribe. Turn on notifications and stay with us for the next chapter. Your journey through the untold stories of Hollywood starts right here.